Hi everyone, welcome to the Mind of Ro page. So, you like my filter? I look so animated right now. And I picked this filter because it looks like I'm like in a creepy room I'm trying to escape. So, this is the occultist way to escape an abusive relationship. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel at Mind of Ro. I also have a business Facebook page at The Mind of Ro. And I also have a TikTok and a Twitter and an Instagram at The Mind of Ro. And my Snapchat is LittleRoro253. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I have some more love and wisdom to share with you. So the last video I made last week was on dealing with our own demons. So look out for that video on my YouTube channel. And next week I'm going to make a video on my experience with Quambanda spirits. What's really weird is every single time I talk about Quambanda spirits, I get a lot of pressure on the top of my head. It's like my crown chakra starts opening up. It's a really weird experience. So moving on. How to escape a domestic violence situation with magic or asking help from spirits. So if you're in a domestic violence situationship, feel free to get a piece of paper and a pen and take some notes. Or if you know somebody who needs to escape an abusive relationship, please share this video with your friend or family member and tell them it's okay to shoot me a message whenever they need some more help and guidance beyond this video. So the best spirits to work with in regards to domestic violence are, of course, always going to be your ancestors, Eshu, Gede, Ogun, Ochosi, Pampajira, and, of course, the lovely Oshun. Majority of these spirits I just listed are warrior spirits, so you do want to work with a lot of warrior spirits when it comes to protection. But that's not what this whole video is going to be about. I'm actually going to talk about just basic things, even if you don't want to practice the occult or any magic, that you could do to get out of a domestic violence situation. So I'm going to share some spells, I'm going to share some deities, I'm going to share some basic informations and stuff like that. So you proved your strength during this abusive relationship, endured more than anyone should. Now use your strength to escape. So now it's time to escape. Main things to handle before leaving an abusive relationship is housing, your job, banking, kids, pets, and possessions. One of the main reasons why people do not want to leave a domestic violence situationship is because one of these categories I just listed is keeping them from leaving. It's because they're scared about where they're going to stay, kids, where their pets are going to go, how their job's going to deal with it, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to list basic things that you could do to handle these situations so you could escape this relationship. Number one thing, if you're on a lease with somebody, get your name off the lease due to domestic violence, which means you have to be open to speak about it. So something that I've learned from my personal experience, if you were to get a restraining order and you have evidence that someone is abusing you, you can openly get your name released off of a lease due to domestic violence. So you would have to go through the court system due to domestic violence. You don't need to go to the court system in regards to the lease. You basically would just need to get a restraining order that is passed through the court system to state that in fact you are in an abusive relationship. You would take that restraining order to your leasing office and they will legally take your name off the lease. Therefore, you could break your lease and you will not owe any money. Your partner cannot come after you for any money in regards to your half of the rent and stuff like that due to domestic violence. This is legal. You could do it. So just to let you know, you can, and that's how you do it. And before you leave, start looking for places to go to. Main places to go to, you could actually ask for help through religious groups, churches, stuff like that. Go to your friends, go to your family, ask some of your friends or family if you can move in with them. Homeless shelters, and stop at a DSHS office or call them in regards to services. They are very open on helping women in domestic violence situations, especially if you have children. If you have children, you will be the first person that will actually be housed. Their homeless shelters are always open to women with children first. So just know that if you don't have anywhere to go, if you don't have any friends or family to go to because you are isolated from your friends and family, from your violent partner, homeless shelters will always open the doors to you firsthand if you have children involved. Do not lose focus. You are much closer to freedom than you think. Do not feel shame. A lot of times when you're feeling really abused, you feel shameful because your violent partner is constantly shaming you and constantly making you feel guilty for sticking up for yourself and constantly putting you in fear and making you feel like, well, you're going to be nobody if you leave them and all that kind of stuff, or no one wants to be there for you. That's basically called isolation. So don't feel shameful to call or contact any of your friends or family, because if you're in a pretty violent situation, most likely your friends and family want you to leave anyways. So don't feel shameful in contacting friends and family. People have way bigger hearts than you think that they do. Number one thing that stops people from reaching out to friends and family is shame, and it's normal to feel shameful when you constantly are being mentally and emotionally bashed in by a abusive partner. So don't feel shameful to contact a friend or a family member for any help. It's normal for you to feel very unempowered when you're dealing with a person who's constantly manipulating you, lying to you, putting you down, making you feel weak. So I'm going to give you some chants that will actually help you work on your solar plexus energy. So your solar plexus energy is actually located right below your ribs, and it's associated with your willpower. So the number one thing that abusive people attack in a relationship is your willpower. So to change that vibration within yourself, I'm going to give you some chants now, and I'm going to spell it out for you too, to help you get your willpower back. If you're watching this video and you're not in a domestic violence situation and you just want your willpower back anyways, you could do this as well. This is not just for abused people. This is for everybody. So one chant is Ra, which is just R-A, and it simply goes Ra, or you can roll your R like Ra, which is a solar plex chant, or Harim, which is Hareem, which is spelled Hereem, I think. It's spelled basically the way it sounds. So that's actually chant of Haru, or in other words, Horus. So Horus is a Kemetic warrior deity. So if you chant Harim, you will actually end up invoking the energy of Haru within yourself. And if you were my phone was tripping. So if you invoke the energy of Haru within yourself, no one can mess with you if you have Haru energy in you. So that's what Haru or Harim is. The next one is Sa Sakem Sahu. That's spelled S-A space S-A-K-H-E-M space S-A-H-U. That is Sa Sakem Sahu. So you would do that with one breath. You would breathe in Sa Sahem Sahu, and that is a Sekhmet chant. That is also a Kemetic chant. Sekhmet is known to be the lioness. She is a warrior. She's not only a warrior, but she's also a healer. So this chant will not only help you with empowerment, it'll also help you heal whatever wounds, especially emotional wounds, that you are having within yourself at that time. The next one is a Huruk Huti chant. If you practice orisha work, then that is actually equivalent to Ogun. So this chant will actually help invoke the energy of Ogun, or in other words, in Kemet, Huruk Huti. And it's spelt Herukhuti space AUNG space HRRRG, because that's basically what it sounds like. Huruktiang, Haring, Huruktiang, Haring. So basically, you're going to pick one of these chants, and you're going to chant it 108 times. You could use one of these. If you do not have one of these, you could just chant it whenever, how many times you want, and it'll help with that willpower and get that powerful energy back out of you that your abusive partner tried to tear from you. So moving on, another thing you need to handle before leaving an abusive relationship is your work situation. If you do work, let your job know what's happening with your partner, because a lot of times when you try to leave, your partner will try to pop up at your work and then manipulate your coworkers. So before you leave your abusive partner, make sure your coworkers, your boss, especially management, know that you are escaping an abusive relationship and he is not to come to your job. And if he comes to your job, they need to know that he's very manipulative and abusive. Some places actually provide DV leave, or compassionate leave, or personal leave. So if you need to have a day where you need to escape in a domestic violence situation and you need the time to be able to get all your stuff out and everything like that, and you need some time, maybe a couple days, just to kind of like just heal for a second and recoup yourself, speak to your job about it and let them know what you're going through. And most likely, according to law, I believe they just passed a law recently for personal leave, that you should be able to take some personal leave away from your work just for a little bit, so you could handle your business at whatever situation you're going through. If you do work for a corporation, you could actually get transferred if you would like to. A lot of times abusive people will try to come follow you to your work and stalk you and bother you. If you don't want to deal with it, just simply get transferred. If you do not want to get transferred, or you do not work for a corporation, you could just ask them to schedule you a very random schedule. Do not stick with the same schedule that you usually have while you were with your partner. As soon as you leave the situation, make sure you ask them to schedule you any schedule that is not a steady schedule. Therefore, it's harder for them to be able to track you down and figure out when you're going to be there and when you're not going to be there. Handle your banking situation. One thing you could do is open a new account and make sure that the statements are only online. And you would have to specifically tell them at the bank to make sure they only send you anything online. If you are with somebody who's very, very abusive, they will ask you questions on why they're getting any bank statements sent to you. Majority of abusive partners like to control money. So open a new account and make sure it is, thank God we have online now, that you're paperless, and go to the bank to pick up your debit or credit card. That way you won't have to worry about your partner opening the mail and wondering why you're getting a credit card or debit card. If you need to bring up the situation of you being abused, do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you're not getting anything sent to your home, to set any radar off within your abusive partner. Once you get your card, make sure you hide it in a very hard place for him to find. A lot of abusive people like to go through their lady's purse. So if you have a purse, do not put it in your purse or your wallet. Hide it somewhere like within the sole, like underneath the sole of your shoe. Or like the padding, like rip some of the padding out and put your card in the shoe. Or even leave it at your job or in your car, in an area in the car that you know, if it's your car, that he's not going to be, or she is not going to be looking through or looking at. Do not download the bank app, because a lot of abusive people are very stalkerish and they'll look through your phone a lot, and you don't want them to question you about the bank app or anything. It might be even wiser to even open an account at a completely different bank as well, other than the one that you already bank with. Start to stack money from money that's coming from friends, any donations, birthday money, change that you find around the house, whatever it is. But please be careful. If you have somebody who is constantly controlling your money, don't put your check in your new account, because your partner will ask you, where is this money going? A lot of these domestic violent people they're very tedious and doing their homework on making sure they can control you. So if you have some money missing, they're going to know that the money is going somewhere. And then if you're acting kind of funny when they try to question you about it, you're basically just giving yourself up. So just make sure you don't put your check money or work money into this account. You're only using this account for extra money that you're getting from outside sources. That way he can't track, or she can't track it, or whoever can't track your money, and you can save it without them trying to control that money. Once you leave, report your credit cards missing, because they will try to control your credit cards. And then once you report your credit cards missing, they'll actually send you a new card. Therefore, you'll get your new numbers and you'll be able to use your card freely without them trying to control your money, or them trying to cancel your cards, or your partner trying to use up your cards before you get to use them. They will do everything they can to control you. Finances is a way to get you to not run back to broken promises. Another reason why a lot of people run back to domestic violence situationships is because they need money. So if you get your finances on track and have some kind of money saved up, or have some family or friends that will help support you in regards to money, that you know where you could go and stay, that will help you for a while, then you have a less chance of running back to a violent person, because they will use money to hold over your head to try to get you to get back into the relationship. So get your finances right and get them saved up, so that way you know if they try to manipulate you with money, you already know in the back of your head, I already got money, so you can't control me with that. If you have kids, take them with you, or have someone that you trust that is not close with your partner that could come pick them up. So don't ask one of his family members, don't ask his best friends or anything like that. Just be really wise about that. Don't set yourself up for failure. Just make sure it's somebody that's going to be your family and just your friend, or just take them with you. If they're in school, let the school know that you're going through this and you're about to leave. That way the abuser can't come there and pick the children up before you do and try to control you with the children. Make sure they know everything. If you have a no contact order, then take the no contact order to the school and show them, and leave and make a copy and leave it with them, so that if your abuser tries to go there and tries to pick your children up, then he's not, or she is not going to be able to, and they'll be able to flash the paper at the cops or whatever and say, hey, you can't pick up the children. You could even relocate the children. And the time you leave, like the actual day you leave, make sure you pick the children up earlier than the time you usually would. Because if your abusive partner's radar is up, most likely they will try to control you with the children, and they'll try to go grab the children before you. So to make sure none of those problems happen, make sure you or somebody you trust is picking up those children at an earlier time, before the time you guys are usually picking the children up. You want to switch up the routine. They're really good at following routines, so just you want to switch that routine up so they can't catch you picking up the children or try to control you with the children. Change, like I said earlier, change schools or daycares, and try to plan out the changing the daycare or preschool prior to the situation happening. That way, once you pick the children up and once you leave, the next time you drop your children off, they will be at a different location. So a lot of this is pre-work. So there's a lot of stuff you got to do to pre-set yourself up. If it's a really, really bad situation, it's good to set all this kind of stuff up prior to leaving. That way you know that when you do leave, you are in complete control of the situation, and the abusive partner is not. If you have pets, talk to your local RSPCA or rehoming group. They will find a free foster care for you until you get settled. A good majority of them will just watch your pet for you for a while, until you figure out your situation and stuff like that. So just know that you can take the pets with you as well. Planning your escape from day one. Figure out the day that you want to leave. The day you want to leave, I know this is going to be the really hardest thing because you kind of have to lie. Don't act funny. You want to make sure when the time is coming up, you want to act normal. You want to act really nice. The day that you're actually planning on leaving, do something like plan dinner with your partner. That way their radar and their paranoia is actually really low, and you will have a less chance of them questioning you if you're having a really happy, good day that day and you make plans with them later. So that would be my advice, is that whenever you make that plan of the day to leave, be sure to make a plan with that person so their radar is down. Just say something like, oh, I'm going to make dinner for you later, blah, blah, blah. And act nice that day. Don't be angry. Don't act sad. Don't overdo it either. Don't act really funny and act a little too happy, because they're going to question you and be like, okay, why are you acting funny? You don't want their paranoia or their radar up, okay? In regards to your possessions, send things that won't be noticed, like jewelry, books, most important stuff like IDs, passports, birth certificates, social security cards, stuff like that. You want to send those to a safe location, either put them in storage, send them to friends and families, or even send it to your work or job. And you want to do it slowly, don't do it all at once. That way, of course, things that they're not going to notice that's missing. That way, so by the time you leave, you have everything that's really important to you. Just the little things like that. Sell things that's worth money that you know that you really don't need, that your partner's not going to realize is gone. It will actually help you with money put to the side as well. In regards to your clothes, you could actually do a thing that's called clean out, which basically what that is you're going to tell your partner, I'm just cleaning out the closet. I'm going through some old things and things that I want to get rid of. So you can either also really clean your stuff out and go through things you don't need, throw it out. And then things that you really do want to keep that you know you can't really put in a suitcase, or things you just want to kind of get out of the way, what you could do is just tell your partner that you're cleaning out and you're just getting rid of things that you don't want to use or wear anymore. So that way your partner's not going to feel really funny, like, why are you taking bags of clothes and leaving? Just say you're going to donate it, and then say, I'm donating it, put it in a bag, and just keep it really casual. That way they don't really question what you're doing. You could even do this with his clothes, so he doesn't question you, or even do it, or her clothes, or your kids' clothes, or other things around the home, just so you're not being questioned on why you're cleaning out. And so basically you just say you're just going through things and getting rid of things that you don't need. Let's talk about the police. So let the police know what you're doing. They can actually do a standby for you. And what that means is basically that if you don't want to deal with your partner, like if you feel like there's no slot area that you could find that where their partner's going to be gone for a couple hours, that you can get your stuff out, or you're just too scared to handle it on your own, then you could actually ask the cops to do a standby. Basically what that is you call them, let them know you're going through a domestic violence situation and you need to leave and you need to get your stuff out, but you don't want them to hurt you or harass you while you're getting your stuff out. And what that means is you get 15 minutes to get your stuff out. So what you would do is you would just call the cops and you would let them know, hey, this is when I want to get my stuff out. Can you come here around this time? And you could actually just let them know, hey, I don't want you to come to the door. And maybe you do want them to come to the door, or you want them to call you, or however you want to handle it. You could just tell them how you want them to handle it. And you just have 15 minutes to grab whatever it is that you need to grab to get out of the house, and they'll watch to make sure that your partner isn't going to do anything that hurts you. Your partner's not even allowed to yell at you or say anything manipulative or disrespectful at all. They're not even allowed to talk to you at all while the cops are in your house helping you get your stuff out. You could also file for domestic violence and get a restraining order. You could just simply leave the house and go to the cops and say you need to get a restraining order. And I actually went through this and I did this myself. If it's really hard for you to get away from the person and you feel like this is what you have to do, get a restraining order. You could actually, as long as you have evidence and proof that this person is being very abusive to you, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to write a report and say this person did this to me at this time, and be very, very detailed. The more detailed you are, the better. You're going to say this person by this name did this on this exact date at this time, and you're just going to write it very simple. Hit me at this area of my body, said this to me, and then write quote, he, she said, blah, 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 in quotes. Be very detailed about it, and then turn the paper in. And what they will do is they'll actually kick them out. They'll actually say this person needs to get out. And what you'll do is you will get 2 weeks to have the house, you and the children, the pets and everything, to have the house for 2 weeks to yourself until you get your court date. So that gives you enough time to be able to pack your stuff, plan to leave, figure out where you want to go, make your phone calls, whatever it is that you need to do, 2 weeks until you get your court date. And then when you go to your court date, you're going to stand in front of the judge and then make your plea. Do not allow your partner to emotionally or mentally manipulate you into actually believing that they will never believe you in court. If you know for a fact this person is abusing you, abusers will always try to manipulate you into thinking that no one will believe you. Court systems and judges and lawyers are used to manipulators. They deal with this crap all the time. So stop allowing these abusers to convince you that no one's going to believe you and everything's your fault, blah, blah, blah. If they're hitting you, if they're calling you names, saying mean things to you on a regular basis, that's straight up abuse, and you know it is. Therefore, don't allow them to convince you that if you go to court, you're going to lose and they're going to win. They do it on purpose to keep you from going to court. So no, if you do go to court, I don't know if this is the law everywhere. I'm from Washington State, and I do know in Washington State that here, if you go to court, you could actually pick how long you want them to be out of the place. So if you tell the court, hey, I want them to be out of the place for a whole month while I handle my business so I can get out, the court will grant you that. If you want them to be out for a whole year, 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is, you can't go past a year, they will grant that. As long as they know that you're actually really being abused, that way you could have the place yourself, the children could have the place to themselves, and they will still have to pay rent or pay mortgage or whatever agreement that you guys have while you and the children and pets stay there. So know you have your rights. Don't let them convince you that you don't have any rights. If you're worried about finding a place to go, know that you can have the place to yourself for a while as long as you're willing to take your words and your story to the court system. Do not threaten to leave. This is a big no-no. This is typical when you're trying to leave somebody. You're going to have the urge to want to threaten them and say, well, I'm going to leave you if you don't do this and this and this and that. Do not do that. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure. You're allowing the person's radar to go up that, oh, they're trying to leave me. You don't want to do that. You want to keep their radar as low as you can. So don't threaten them and tell them, well, I'm going to leave you if you don't do this or this or that. They don't give a damn. No matter how many times you threaten them, you already know if they're being abusive. All you're doing is giving them permission to manipulate more. So that is a big no-no, a big warning. When you're in this process and going through this, and when you decide you want to leave, do not threaten your partner that you're going to leave. No matter how much you want to, just trust me, just don't do it, okay? I'm going to read you a quote really quick by John Mark Green. Now that you escaped your abuse, your abuser will try to win you back. Not because he loves you. To him, you are just a piece of property. He must recover a runaway slave to be recaptured. My phone tripped out, sorry about that. That is how he sees you. Don't ever believe otherwise. When you leave, your partner will try to get you back. And they will convince you that it's because they love you and you mean so much to them. And how can you leave them if they did so much for you and blah, 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 blah. They're going to make you all these promises and they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that, blah, 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 blah. Don't get sucked into it. Don't think that when you start planning things that, oh, well, now that they think I'm leaving, maybe they'll actually change. They don't change. I'm just letting you know they don't change. Do not fall for it, okay? Now, let's get into occult work. So if you're watching this and you're following my page, of course, I'm not just going to talk about some regular day stuff because I'm Mind of Ro, therefore I'm going to share some occult knowledge with you. So I'm going to give you 2 breakup spells and what to do if you really want to separate that energy. So a lot of times when you're in an abusive relationship or narcissistic or manipulative relationship, you tend to have like this pull or this attachment. It's really, really hard to pull away. And it's like, oh my God, why can't I get away with this person even though I feel like I hate him, even though they get on my nerves and blah, blah, blah. There's some kind of soulful attachment there. You're absolutely right. There is some kind of soulful attachment there. So I'm going to give you 2 spells on how to help you detach yourself from an abusive person. Number one, the first spell is you're simply going to cut a photo of the person you want to break up with. Now, know, for those of you who are watching this, this could go for breakups, and it could also go for people who are just trying to cling on to you and you don't want them to cling on to you, okay? Do not abuse this power because you will pay, just letting you know. What you're going to do is you're going to grab the picture of the person, if a picture of you guys together, okay? Not just them alone, together, and you're going to cut the person out of the picture that you want to separate from, okay? You're going to get mint, and you're going to cover the picture with mint, and then you're going to burn the picture. As you're burning the picture, you're going to chant, "I break this bond between us. No needs to cuss or fuss. We will leave on good terms. As this picture burns, so may it be. Ashe, ashe, ashe." That is one spell. Here is a second one. This is called breakup cleansing. Basically what this is, you could either do this before you guys break up, or you could do it after you guys break up. Whatever you want to do and how you want to handle it, it's completely up to you. If you want to make the breakup a little easier, it's probably better to do it before you guys break up. If you just want to make sure that person doesn't try to snatch onto you once you leave, you could do it then too. It's just really up to you, okay? This is called a breakup cleansing technique, because any sexual relationship creates a bind. Therefore, this is a way to wash away the bind that you have with the other person. To break this tie, you're going to stand naked and gently rub a raw egg against your skin, head to toe, so top to bottom, outward from shoulders to fingers. So you're going to rub it from here down, from your shoulders. You're going to go outward, downward, and outward with it. You're going to use circular motions in the genital areas. You could even do it even in the heart. What I would suggest, because I like to teach a lot about chakra energy, you don't have to, but what I would suggest, the same way you use circular motions in your genital areas, you could actually do the 7 points, which would be like your crown, your third eye, your throat chakra, your heart chakra, solar plexus, sacral, and your root chakra, to do the cleansing circles. Or you could basically just do your genitals or your heart. You definitely want to make sure you do your solar plex area, which is right below where your ribs, I'm going to show you, which is right here, because in manipulative abusive relationships, that's usually where the cord is tied. So make sure you do your heart, your solar plexus, and then your genital area in circular motions with the egg. When you're done doing it, you're going to break the egg into the toilet, shell and everything, and then you're going to flush it away. Make sure you break it. You got to throw it with aggression, like psh, break it. Or what you can do, before I move on, you don't have to do this with just long relationships. You could actually do this with one night stands, short term, anything like that. Basically what this is cutting cords or cleansing any attachment with anybody is basically what this is for, okay? If you need to repeat it multiple times, sometimes you might need to repeat it for a really, really thick attachment. Don't feel bad if you have to repeat it. Just know that you might have to if it's a really aggressive attachment, okay? Another way you could do it is you're going to do the exact same thing that I just told you to do, but instead of flushing it down the toilet, you could take it to the crossroads where Eshu and Pampajira reside. If you want to offer this broken egg to Eshu, you would go to a 4-way stop. If you want to offer this broken egg to Pampajira, then you would go to a 3-way stop. 4-way is masculine, 3-way is feminine. It doesn't make a difference. Eshu is going to be Eshu, and the amount of work done through the spirit is going to be just as awesome regardless of which way you go. It's just wherever your heart desire tells you to go, that's where you could go. That's where you go. So I'm just going to give you some basic information on orishas. So I'm not going to go too much into detail. And the reason why I'm not going to is because I'm going to be on this video forever. So like I said earlier, you could actually work with your ancestors. And I have a video on working with ancestors. You could ask guidance from them and Gede spirits or ancestral Gede spirits specifically. And I'll tag a video with this video. And basically what you could do is serve your ancestors. Obviously, if you're with a violent person and you can't have an altar at home, you could actually do the exact same thing on my Ancestor Gede video and take it to the bottom of a tree, anything, food, liquor, water, whatever it is that you have to offer, a gift, flowers, whatever, and speak to your ancestors and ask for protection, tell them what's going on, ask for protection, ask for help, have them help you, get away and stuff like that. So, but my suggestion is if you are really new at this, the number one being that's going to be the easiest to contact, that's going to be the most strongest being to have your back right now at this time is going to be an Eshu spirit, which would be Eshu or Pampajira. Ogun and Ochosi always work together. If you want to work with the Lord of Iron and War, work with Ogun. He will help protect you as well. Basically what you would do is you would give him offers to the train tracks and you would tell him what's going on and ask him for help and protection. And I will tag a video with this video on how you could work with Ogun and Ochosi. And you could also work with Oshun, because Oshun is one of the main deities that is totally against domestic violence, especially for women. She is very protective towards women and does not like abusive men. So if you're a woman and you're watching this and you would like to work with a being that's not as aggressive and doesn't have as much hot spirit towards you as maybe like an Eshu can be a very hot, you go to Oshun, and basically what you would do is you would do the same thing with any other deity or ancestors. You're going to tell Oshun what's going on. You would go to the river and tell Oshun everything that's going on, and you would give her fruit, and you would go and you would drop fruit into the river and say, I'm offering you this, and then ask for guidance, ask for protection. If you would like more information on Oshun, I'm not getting too detailed on this video. I'm going to tag a video with this video on how to work. But most importantly, I'm going to get more into depth with Eshu and Pampajira because they're the number one warrior spirit for those who are not experienced, and they're going to be the best to protect you during a situation like this. And they're easiest to get to because you could just go to crossroads. Crossroads are everywhere versus train tracks and rivers are a little bit farther to go. And usually if you're in a domestic violence situation, it's not easy for people who are dealing with a domestic violent person to be able to go really far from their home. This way, it's very easy to go to crossroads and speak to these beings. So, before I get too much into Eshu and Pampajira, once you get out of the relationship and once you get all your stuff out and get your kids out and your pets out and stuff like that, these are some things you need to make sure you handle so you don't get drugged back into the relationship. Number one, change all your banking passwords so they cannot control your money. Change all your social media passwords. Change all your email and social sites. Change your emails to your social sites. If you know that he knows your passwords and you know that he could get into them, go into all your social sites and change the emails to get into them. Change your PayPal passwords so they cannot control your money that way. Block them on all your social sites. Even if you change your email, block the person off social sites. Block their number from your phone, of course. Change your phone number. Block any of the abuser's friends that are obviously more their friends than your friends. Block their family members. Block co-workers, business partners, or whatever it is that you know that's tied to your partner. Block all of them because they will try to contact you through them. Redirect your mail. The number one thing you need to do, maybe even you could do it prior to leaving, is redirect your mail, get a P.O. box, or have it directed to either your job or to a friend's or family's home. So now that you've left a relationship, it's normal to feel very emotionally painful. This is typical. This is normal. Now you got to heal. And you want to start really focusing on healing so you don't go running back to this person. I'm going to give you some chants on how to not only heal your emotions, but how to heal your heart. So here are some emotional chants to help heal emotions. Number 1 is VAM, which is VAM, and it sounds basically like VAM. The second one is a Het Haru chant. Het Haru, or in other words, Hathor, or if you do Orisha work, she is equivalent to Oshun, which helps with the emotional center, helps you be creative, helps you balance your emotions and all your sexual organs and stuff like that. So it's Kling, which is spelled AUNG KLING, which is Kling. You really want to pronounce that cling-ing sound. For your heart, because of course your heart's going to be hurting once you leave the relationship, is number 1 is Yam, which is YAM. Yam. And the other one, which is an Aset, or in other words, Isis chant, or if you practice Orisha work, it's a Yemayar Yemoja chant. It's Ung Vang Dahang. It's spelled AUNG space VAUNG space DAHUNG. I will type out all these chants, including the ones I said earlier, with this video, so you could see exactly how to spell it. That's Ung Vang Dahung. So you're going to chant those 8 times, like I said earlier. If you do not have one of these necklaces, these beaded necklaces, that you could find a lot of spiritual shops or even like Asian shops and stuff like that, then just chant them however many times you can. Of course, if you have an abusive partner, chant them when they're not around. You can never chant too much, okay? So the only chant you can do too much is a Huruk Huti chant that I said earlier. Huruk Huti, or in other words, Ogun, is very, very aggressive. So just be forewarned that if you do chant the Huruk Huti chant that I mentioned earlier in this video, that it can make you very aggressive. If you don't want to be too aggressive and too feisty, I would suggest to go with the other chants that I listed earlier, not the Huruk Huti. Just so you know that if you were to chant it, it could cause you to want to fight like Ogun, okay? So just be mindful of that. Another chant that you would like to, that would really help you with your healing process and being able to get into the energy of recreating your life and getting more organized within your life and justice and peace, would be a Ma'at chant, which is Ung Shreem. It's spelled AUNG space SHREEM. Again, that's AUNG space SHREEM. It's Ung Shreem. Ung Shreem. So that is a Ma'at chant. What that would do is help you with justice, peace, and help you get back into organizing your life and bringing everything back into place the way it should be after the breakup. So now that you're broken up, you want to keep the person away from you and make sure they don't try to come back into your life and harass you. So I'm going to give you 2 spells on how to do that. The first one is really easy and basic. What you would do is you're going to write the abuser's name on a piece of paper and draw a circle around it. And then you're going to twist it or roll it as tight as you can, or scrunch it, whatever you got to do to get it really, 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 really tight. And then you're going to throw it in the back of the freezer and then just forget it. What you're doing is you're freezing it and you're leaving it alone and keeping it where it's at to keep that person from coming back and re-harassing you again. And the next one is something that would actually involve Eshu and Pampajira. Okay, this is going to be a way more stronger spell. What you would do is you're going to go to the crossroads and you're going to speak this prayer of protection. You're simply going to say, On this night, I summon the power of Eshu or Pompagira, depending if you go to a 4 or 3-way road, it's up to you, to protect me from all that would harm me physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I seek protection. Thank you. Ashe. And what you're going to do is you're going to get a bottle of gin, and you're going to, preferably the whole bottle, pour the bottle out at the crossroads. Or what you can do is write a note to Eshu and Pompagira, and what you're going to do is tell Eshu or Pompagira everything that this person is doing to you, and you're going to put the letter into a glass jar and leave it at the crossroads, and do the same thing that I said earlier, is take a bottle of gin and pour it out at the crossroads to Eshu or Pompagira, depending if you went to a 4 or 3-way crossroad. And when you're done doing that, you're simply going to walk away and do not look back. If you do this, do not go to those crossroads within 3 days, and do not talk about the person in those 3 days, okay? That would be the best suggestion for you if you were to do this work. I'm going to give you some warnings on Eshu and Pompagira. So please be mindful that they are warrior spirits, and they run on very high very high standards, morals, and values, okay? Don't let the internet convince you. Otherwise, what that basically means is that if you're asking guidance from Eshu or Pompagira to protect you, do not be an abuser yourself. Now, know the difference between an abuser trying to convince you that you're an abuser versus you actually being the abuser, okay? So a lot of times when we're being abused, the abuser will try to convince us that we are the abuser. That's not the case that I'm talking about here. Eshu and Pompagira know if you're suffering. They know if you need help. They know if you need guidance, okay? They're not stupid. They're very high-dimensional, smart beings. They know everything that's going on, even if you don't say everything to them. Once you raise their awareness, they'll figure it out, okay? So just know, if you do this work with Pompagira or Eshu, and then you go and be very abusive to somebody, they can work against you as well. So just be mindful of your character when you work with these beings. Be a good person and be very sincere. We're not perfect, and that's okay. That's normal. It's normal for us. We're humans. It's part of life. It's part of being human, okay? So just what matters is what's going on within your heart. They know what's going on within your heart. As long as you're coming from a very heartful point of view and you sincerely really just need their help and you need healing, simply tell them that. Just don't think that you could just go ask Eshu and Pompagira for help and then you go off and go be mean to somebody, okay? Or abusive, or try to manipulate somebody, or be messed up yourself. So just be mindful of that, okay? Don't be disrespectful. Don't say anything negative to Pompagira or Eshu, especially at the crossroads and even after you leave the crossroads, because once you raise their awareness, they're aware of you. Therefore, be very, very respectful to all crossroad deities, because that's where they dwell. And another thing is, if you are doing any of this work, supposedly Eshu doesn't like it when you put your knee. You don't want to bow down to him, okay? He's not a Shango. He's not like an Obatala. Eshu is Eshu. He's very different. Supposedly he get annoyed if you bow down to him. So you don't need to do all that, okay? He's cool, man. He's cool. He don't need all that. So just don't do that. You're simply just going to do what basically I instructed earlier. Pour out the gin and just be thankful. Be thankful for what Pompagira or Eshu does for you, okay? And if you see any work done after you've done this work, just be thankful by returning back to the crossroads and saying thank you, and maybe leave a cigar or a cigarette or something like that, because they like that kind of stuff, okay? So that's all I have for today. If you like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I have any love and more wisdom to share with you. And if you're watching me on Facebook, this is my personal page. I also have a business Facebook page, which is at The Mind of Ro. Like my page, find me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at The Mind of Ro. I hope everyone is having a safe day. If you need any more information on this, feel free to message me on Facebook and forward this to anyone who needs help as well. If you are scared to work with any of these deities and you need help and you need me to guide you, feel free to ask me. I am very open to helping anybody. Peace, namaste, odabo, and hotep.